but to thank you to Paul Jansen, who is the Chief Operating Officer in Buurtzorg, Britain and Ireland, so one of Brendan Martin's colleagues. Paul is Dutch, and Paul has a great wide and varied experience with the Buurtzorg model within Europe as well. And today's WebEx is entitled Repurposing, what our organisation has to do to repurpose, which it's titled is the biggest challenge. So what do teams need from the organisations themselves? Everything from IT support, what kind of leadership styles, the mindset, all down to practical changes. So thank you very much for joining us, Paul. Over to you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Yes, as Alec has correctly said, I am indeed Dutch, but I've lived in the UK now for 22 years, so I've got extensive experience with working in the public sector here in the UK. And what we try to share with you today is some of our experiences with helping organizations in their ambition to adopt the Buurtzorg model in their own context. Of course, there are lots of elements of the Buurtzorg model that we are convinced that work seamlessly also in the UK, but there are always contextual issues that we need to take into consideration, and we'll touch upon some of those today. And we also touch upon the different starting point that most of you will have by coming to the Buurtzorg model from the context of an existing organization, which is very different from starting from a position that Buurtzorg had, which was that they were able to start as a small startup without having to transform an existing structure, culture, or organizational mindset. Alec, if you could put on the next slide, please. Before I go into the details, and I can talk about organizational repurposing all day long, so what I will try to do is, in the 20 or so minutes that I have, try to take some big steps, but give you the key findings from our experience, and then there will be time, of course, for you to ask any questions, and we'll try and answer as many as I can. But before I delve into the organizational implications for introducing the Buurtzorg model in your setting, it's important to realize, I think, what the starting point has been. And I'm sure most of you will have seen some of these images before. You have perhaps already attended some of the other webinars, but it's important to understand that the starting point for Buurtzorg, or reminding ourselves, I guess, that the starting point for the self-management aspect of Buurtzorg is really their care model. Let's